Yo, what is up, you guys? It's K8 here, and today we're going to be working in this writing session. So I'm going to just write a couple melodies, and you'll see me write out some chords and piano stuff and things like that, how I kind of put an idea together. So before I do that, I have to let you know how this session works and what this session is. Otherwise, none of this will make sense. So this is my writing session template. So pretty much what I do is I just throw a couple piano layers for some chords, some synth chords in there, and a bass line group and a melody group. So that way I can write chords, bass lines, and melodies in separate groups. And I don't really care about the sound design of the mix. It's not the point of this session. The session is to just write out a whole bunch of ideas. So the way I flesh out these ideas is I have 3 parts every 20 bars. So this light blue part represents like a release part, so something that comes after what would be a drop or a chorus. And so it's like filtered out melody, no bass, just piano chords, and that's it. And then it turns into this, as you can see right here, this where this little FX group kicks in. It's another few bars of build-up, and then it goes back into itself. So at the beginning right here, which is our main chorus, or if you want to call it a progressive drop. So this pretty much represents like a song. It's a mini song, just happens really quickly. So we have our release, our build up, and then the main part. So let me play it for you. So as you can hear, there's 3 different parts. It's just repeating the same thing. So it's very intentional that it's repeating the same phrase over and over and over again. So these 4 bars are exactly the same throughout the whole thing, except the only thing that happens is I take out some elements, filter out some elements, and then add in some effects in the build-up, and then just kick in the main part. So why I do that is because it's a great way to test out the chords and melodies and bass lines together. So it's a really cool way to get a good vibe of what you just written. So let's just go ahead and let me show you how I would continue on. So I would take my last idea and I would just duplicate it. And then I would just go ahead and delete everything out of it and just start writing from there. So I'll just delete all these parts and let's go ahead and start writing. So I don't need to explain too much. I obviously will just start on my root note. Everything is in a C minor. So off to the side, I have my C minor scales and I've kind of differentiated the octaves. And when I press fold in Ableton, all the notes I have on the clip will be the only ones shown. So if it's not in the scale, pretty much, it's not in this clip. So I have no way of making a mistake writing anything that wouldn't be in key or in the scale. So let's just start writing. So far we just have our chords, and I kind of threw in the the synth chords a little early, so let's just go ahead and get a bass out of this now. So let's go ahead, copy one of these chords, and the chords I like to keep simple just because mostly where I like to experiment with writing is in the melody. I like the melody to be a little bit crazy, so I keep the bass and chords simpler so that way I can write something over it. If you have a really complex rhythm of chords and bass line, it's really hard to put a melody over that, or you really have to simplify the melody. And so you find that balance again just through writing a lot. So I already know that I like to keep my bass lines and my chords simple. That way I can make the melodies a little bit more catchy. So that's just something I found out. If you do this on your own and you like to make your chords, really crazy, then, you'll find what you like. So that's what's cool about this. You find what you like. So let's go ahead and paste in that bass line, and let's just start muting everything we don't know. Let's just mute all this and transpose. And now we have our bass line. So let's add that in. So, as I said earlier, the whole idea is also to feel the vibe of what could be a full track. So I'll just go ahead and let me delete out the melody layers so that way you guys don't get confused. And let me color the bass a little bit differently. So we'll make this a different blue. So I'm going to go ahead and duplicate now my piano chords, my bass, and I'm just going to get it to be going throughout this whole little instance. So I'm going to delete bass out of here because this is supposed to be a release part. So I'll throw some markers up as well. So I'll set a marker here to represent the release. I'll set a marker here to represent the build up, and then I'll put a marker here to represent the chorus or the main part. So this will be main, this will be release. And I refer to release because in songwriting, there's this thing called attack and release. So attack parts can be things like drops and choruses, just big parts where the music is going at its, at its highest intensity. And a release part is something that follows right after that, that usually goes really soft and really relieving all that tension and letting you rebuild it back up. And that's pretty much what the build-up is, which is the next thing, is just building that tension back up to go back into the chorus. So that's all songwriting, song structure, mumbo jumbo. So, build-up. So that's what's going on here, and in the melody layers, I also, and the chord layers, I also have some filtering that happens there. So the only thing I don't filter out is the pianos. I like the pianos to just kind of be the thing that sustains. So we'll make sure we have that here. So we'll just go ahead and do that. I'll probably have to do this again, but I'll just add it in now. So now we're just ready to write a new melody. So let's just start doing that. I can use one of these chords as an example so I can see what I did in the chords. Sometimes I just write a melody. I don't even have to look at the chords or anything like that, but we'll just go ahead and use this as a reference. It's not bad to ever have a reference. So we'll just mute all these by selecting it and pressing 0. So in Ableton, when you select a clip or notes, you can just press 0 and it mutes them right away. So let's just start writing a melody. And what I'll be doing is I'll just be listening to piano and the layer that I'm working on. So I like to just hear something. I think it's good to write in a context also. So sometimes I write a melody as I'm listening to drums, bass, chords, and all that stuff together. And sometimes I just like to write a melody by itself, only listening to that. So again, you also find out how you like to work as well. So let's just start writing with just piano and melody. So right there, that's a melody with no variation. That's done on purpose. I like to repeat the exact same first bar over and over just to see if I'm gonna get bored of it, just to see if it's something that's interesting or not interesting. So if I get bored of it by the time it repeats the second time, then I know it's not really catchy at all. And I like to write catchy things. I like to keep really simple melodic things that are kind of more pop-like than they are, I guess, more complex melodic ideas of sorts. So now that I kind of copied each bar over, I can just start adding some variation in, and that's where the chords kind of come in more as a reference. So if I want, I can have the first note of each of these bars kind of follow the chords, so that way it feels like it's following a little bit of the chords. So we can just bring this up, so it's playing a D just like that, and then a A. Alright, so now we're at the point where variation is the whole name of the game here. The whole point of the session is to experiment, and now we're at the point where writing the variation is the experimenting. So now what I want to do is create a change in the last two bars, so that way it feels like it comes more to a solution and loops back into itself in a more natural way. And so now that we've created a little bit of variation with just the first root note of each bar, let's just go ahead and start trying to get this stuff to sound a bit different. So I kept it a little bit simple. I made some changes, but they weren't that major. So let's try it out. So now we're in the phase where we're going to stop writing and we're going to start testing. So now I want to get a vibe of this, of what I've just made, and I'm going to test it out. And that's something, again, that you don't really get to do when you're just practicing writing on an instrument or in a song. You don't get to flesh it out and really get a general sense of what it could be. So let's copy this now to the other layers. And I'll even include the Nexus layer as well, which is off right now because I just wanted to. I also use this session to just preview my new presets. So let's just go ahead and hear it now like this. Let's play it from here. So it had a natural flow to it. It kind of all went back into itself, and writing like this also helps you kind of get better at song structure because you realize that structure is also a part of writing. You have to have a sort of flow for things to go into each other. So this video is probably long enough already. If you guys want another writing session, just let me know, and we'll just start off on a new session where I'm not going to have to explain what the session is, and I'll just write out a bunch of ideas and explain other things that I didn't get to mention. So if you guys want more of this, we'll just call this writing sessions number 1. It's up to you guys if you want to see more. So thanks guys for watching, and of course, Blades.